We have finally made it to the end. We are talking top 10 DC animated movies of all time. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. At number 10, Superman vs. the Elite. This is my favorite animated Superman movie ever, probably the most enjoyable Superman movie ever for me. So I remember watching this for the first time, and I felt like the first 20 minutes was pretty slow. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. I wasn't a huge fan of Superman. But that all changed once you got to about the halfway point. Everything just ramped up and the movie was just uphill. This movie, it showcases Superman's morals as a character and who Superman actually is. He's a person, he's an alien, but he is human. He has human emotions. He has human moral. He has a human code. I think this movie just perfectly encapsulates what makes Superman great as a character. And this movie made me adore Superman so much more than I already did. So really my number 10 and number 9 picks are interchangeable. I like them about the same. But I put Wonder Woman above Superman vs. the Elite just because I prefer Wonder Woman a little more as a character. I'm not a huge Superman guy. I have a ton of respect for his character, in large part thanks to Superman vs. the Elite. But Wonder Woman, this movie is just so enjoyable. Ares is actually one hell of a villain. He is much better in this than he is in the live action film. He is just a straight up dick, and also Hades is in this, and he's an even bigger dick. So yeah, they're both assholes, but I think Ares' motivation in the film, it's set up extremely well at the beginning. You know his motivation. His motivation is strong. He has a reason to have a grudge against Hippolyta and Themyscira, which just elevates this film. Also, the Steve Trevor Wonder Woman dynamic is phenomenal in this movie. This movie just has so much heart, so much charm. It's a fun watch that actually has a story. Just everything about the movie is great. So just the concept of Justice League Doom feels like it would make a great movie based on the Tower of Babel comic. They make a few changes from the comic to the movie, but they work. This film is amazing. So the villains they chose to incorporate to counteract the members of the Justice League was kind of interesting, but it worked, and they were utilized well in the film. And honestly, I kind of wish I could rank this film a little higher because I kind of have a soft spot for this movie. It is great, but the reason I really do care about this film is because mainly it's Dwayne McDuffie's last movie. He passed away after working on this film, and I think it was a hell of a movie to end on, but of course, always sad when that type of thing happens. Something I think this film does extremely well is make it feel like a Batman movie and a Justice League movie at the same time. So obviously the main plot point is that Batman's plans to take down the Justice League are stolen. And I wouldn't even say Batman really has more screen time than the rest of the Justice League. He just feels like the main character because the entire plot is based around something he did.
Alfred, get the Batwing ready. The Justice League is under attack.
By whom?
By me!
But of course, as a Batman fan, I love how much his intelligence is showcased in this, how dangerous Batman really is, and with prep time, he can take out any motherfucker in the DC universe. Honestly, Batman's just a fucking badass in this, and I love it. Also, the voice cast is amazing. Come on, it's the DCAU voice cast, basically.
If you people can't see the potential danger of an out-of-control Justice League, I don't need to wait for a vote. I don't belong here.
As I mentioned previously during this ranking, in the previous videos, I absolutely love a good mystery story, and Justice League Gods and Monsters is just that. This movie is an Elseworld story, but it incorporates so many DC characters, iconic and more obscure characters. The changes made that we are not accustomed to are fun, they are brilliant, they work amazingly for the story, and the writing in this movie, just the storytelling in this movie is mind-blowing to me. As an Elseworld story, and as a mystery, this movie is basically perfect. It makes interesting changes to the characters. It gets you invested in these characters. The changes they make sense. They are brilliant. They work great within the context of the story, and the mystery is so good. I didn't see it coming. If you haven't seen this movie, watch it, please. So Justice League Crisis on Two Earths has one of the most badass Batman quotes of all time.
We both looked into the abyss. When it looked back at us, you blinked.
And that is the sole reason it is at number 6. I'm just kidding, guys. Of course, this movie is absolutely amazing. It's just outside the top 5. And I wish it was in the top 5 because it really does feel like a top 5 movie. Everything about the film just works for me. How they incorporate the lesser known Justice Leaguers, like they're not in it that long, but they find a way to incorporate them. How Batman is like a loner, but he's also a Justice Leaguer at the same time. That's like a classic Batman thing. Batman is just phenomenal in this movie. The worst thing I can say about him is the voice, and his voice is pretty good, so if that's the worst thing I can say about Batman in this movie, that tells you how well written he is. And every Justice Leaguer is written well in this movie. It's interesting, just the differences, like I was saying with Gods and Monsters, the differences between Earth 2 and the Earth we're accustomed to. The differences and similarities of the Crime Syndicate and the Justice League. The Crime Syndicate, especially Owlman, are some of the best villains that are in these movies. This is a film where I remember quotes like the Batman quote because the writing and the dialogue is just so sharp in this film. I remember fight scenes. Basically every fight scene in this movie I remember because they're just that good. Almost every character in the film I remember because they are written excellently. Just the dichotomy between the two worlds is done extremely well, and it's very interesting. Also, this movie builds as it goes. The tension, the stakes, it all builds as the movie progresses. It's not like a roller coaster going up and down, it's constantly up, and it doesn't start at 10 and stay at 10, it builds in an outstanding fashion. The Dark Knight Returns, Parts 1 and Part 2, I count them as one film because they're one cohesive story. This is the best comic book adaptation ever, right? So many great things. This movie as well, like Crisis on Two Earths, has one of the best Batman quotes ever.
You don't get it, son. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon.
Lifted from the comic, of course, but that does not take away from Peter Weller's delivery and just Peter Weller's overall performance as Batman, and Bruce Wayne in this movie is phenomenal. Michael Emerson is one of the better voices for the Joker. The Batman versus Superman fight is epic. The Batman versus Mutant Leader fight is fucking amazing. Green Arrow is incorporated extremely well into this movie. Carrie Kelly is an interesting character. The movie just adapts the comic and tells the story in such a faithful and great way. Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Shockingly, I don't actually have that much nostalgia for this film. I did not see this movie until I was older. I saw Return of the Joker and Sub-Zero as a child, so those actually carry more nostalgia with me, and I may be more connected to both of them than Phantasm. Phantasm is undoubtedly a better movie than Sub-Zero is, though. As I said when I talked about Sub-Zero, I think the animation in Sub-Zero is actually better. What you get in Phantasm is what you get in the show, pretty much, other than the opening title sequence, which is great. Phantasm is really more of an anti-hero in this, kind of a Punisher slash Batman combo, really. And the Joker is the main villain of the movie. But this is one of Mark Hamill's greatest performances as the Joker ever, and Hamill as the Joker is always great, but he fucking took it a step up in this film. This movie balances present day with the past so extremely well, tells the origin of Batman, how he felt like he had to become this. Then he had hope, and he literally went to his parents' grave, prayed to them basically, to not have to do it, and then things fell through, and the inevitable happened. Batman was born. Batman and Phantasm actually only really face off once in this, but it's one of the greatest sequences in the movie. This movie is just filled with great sequences, great acting, great dialogue. It's just a damn good story. I actually have a review of this film up on the channel, so I'm not going to waste too much of your guys' time going over it here. Justice League the Flashpoint Paradox is absolutely phenomenal. Reverse Flash is such an asshole. He is an amazing villain. The voice cast in this movie is perfect. This is the only Flash movie we've gotten, but it is so fucking good. I don't know if any Flash movie will ever be better, live action or animated. Thomas Wayne Batman is one of the better takes that isn't Bruce Wayne on Batman. And this is just an insanely emotional and entertaining film. The entire world literally falls apart from a decision Barry made out of love. The world falls into complete chaos. The Justice League falls apart. Half of them are evil, half of them are trying to save it, and this is basically the apocalypse. because of one decision one hero made. But just how well written, well paced, well acted, and how spot on all the characters are and all the character interactions are, how great everything is, makes this movie something special. I know this is going to be so many people's number one, Batman Under the Red Hood. So I think the villains incorporated into this movie are used so well, so smartly, and so sparingly, other than the Joker, of course, because the Joker is the main villain. You need the Joker for this story. But Ra's al Ghul and Black Mask are incorporated brilliantly. How Ra's ties into Jason, it all makes sense. It's all told so perfectly. Then Black Mask breaking the freaking Joker out of all people. And Ra's also connects to the Joker because Ra's got Joker as a distraction, and that's when things went overboard. And obviously Jason comes back as the Red Hood, and the Red Hood was a Joker persona, so yeah, Joker is the centerpiece of this movie. I love how Nightwing is incorporated into it. I love Batman and Nightwing's interactions throughout, and just when Batman comes to the realization that Red Hood is Jason, you hear the raw emotion and heartbreak in Bruce Greenwood's voice. Bruce Greenwood is my second favorite Batman after Kevin Conroy, and I think he is better here than he is anywhere else. I think he's better in this movie than he is in Young Justice and Gotham by Gaslight. I love those, but he is phenomenal in this movie. John DiMaggio as the Joker. We need him back. John DiMaggio is my second favorite voice for the Joker behind Mark Hamill. He is fantastic in this movie. The callbacks in the film as well. There are so many parallels from the first act to the third act, but the roles are reversed. And that's just such an interesting thing. And this movie explores the Joker's psyche better than maybe any other animated movie does. Then of course the way this film ends is so ballsy, but it's so damn good. It's so emotional. It is heartbreaking, but it fits so well within the movie. Just everything about this film is basically perfect. But number one, everyone saw it coming if you know anything about me. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. This movie is perfection. This movie is my childhood. This movie is basically my life. Look, I know I can't fairly say how much nostalgia plays into my love for this film. I know it adds to it, but even without that, this film is absolutely great. This is one of the darkest and emotional DC animated movies you will ever watch, especially the flashback scene. The flashback scene is so phenomenal. I think it's the best scene in any animated superhero movie ever. The flashback scene is so emotional, ties into present day so well, gives you all the answers you need, is extremely entertaining, so well acted, the dialogue is on point. You get to see how truly sadistic the Joker is. I think this is the darkest the Joker ever has been as a character, at least in that flashback scene. In animation, that is. Joker's henchmen are actually characters too. They have progression, they have personality, they have cool ass designs. Michael Rosenbaum voices Ghoul. The incorporation of the Bat family is done so well in this film, and I'm not going to go into too much spoiler region there because if you haven't seen this, watch it. You need to, it's so good. But look, the flashback scene, Old Man Bruce, and the Joker are not what make this movie this great. Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, proves himself so much in this film. He proves that he is Batman. He's his own Batman though. He's a different Batman than Bruce Wayne was, but he's Batman. And going toe to toe with the biggest Batman villain of them all is the best way to prove that. Yes, Terry is so much different than Bruce as a character, but he has so much progression in this movie and really proves himself. He proves himself worthy of the mantle and the title of Batman. And that, along with Mark Hamill's amazing performance and that fantastic flashback scene, help elevate this movie to beyond great for me. So those were my top 10 DC animated movies of all time. You can go check out the rest of my ranking and my previous videos if you like. Let me know what your favorite DC animated movie is down in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.
I'll break you in two.
Batman, if you had the guts for that kind of fun, you would have done it years ago. I, on the other hand... Ah! Ah!